Crazy day out there. Really, what we saw in the stock market mirrors what happened on October 10th in the crypto market. It is mayhem out there, but anyway this plays out, it's going to be kind of a strange growth cycle, isn't it? We have really two possibilities. Number one, this is a Bitcoin only cycle. Yes, some altcoin investments have been profitable, but they're just oscillating up and down the rankings. When you go to the top of the mountain, Ethereum, it broke its previous all-time high by what? Couple $100. And then you have XRP that broke its previous all-time high supposedly by a few cents. Like, whoop-de-doo. This is not what the kind of growth we're looking for out of this asset class. Now, I personally believe we will see an alt season emerge because I believe these assets have real value. These networks solve real problems, and they are the future. I don't believe it's just a Bitcoin-only world, so we should see markets eventually revert back to true value, where we have stripped off all this risk from the SEC and regulatory issues, and real adoption is happening, and you see that more broadly within crypto. And so I think that will show up in values eventually, sooner or later, hopefully sooner than later, though. Now, what I'll tell you is this. Through quite a few of these turbulent times, when it seems like there is no way out and it just will not happen, that's the moment usually where it turns. And we go off into bigger and better things, unless, of course, it's a long and vicious bear market, which I don't see us entering in because I just don't think assets have got overvalued at this point in time. Just what I'm seeing there. We'll see it play out. So the inverse is also the case. When you don't think anything could possibly slow us down and it's going to go up for infinity, that's usually when the bottom falls out and we go, descend into hell. We'll see it play out. But what happened here today? Let's see this. 1.5 trillion gone. And was interesting, there was no real big headline. A lot of times we'll get, the trade war has launched or this or that. That didn't really happen today. And according to Goldman Sachs, some key S&P 500 levels broke, triggering massive algorithmic trades, selling pressures. We could see 40 billion in equities over the next few weeks unloaded. No news, no warnings, just machines dumping because, some line on the screen broke. Is that possible? It could be, but that doesn't really feel right. It did seem interesting. It did kind of correlate with NVIDIA when they put out their 10Q. And, I really went through this thing. What could be spooking people? And, of course, there's stuff that, maybe OpenAI doesn't actually meet their commitments and, other things like this. But we knew that. We already knew that before this. It seemed like to me the new thing that showed up here is this China antitrust regulation thing where essentially it's possible that if NVIDIA follows U.S. regulations, they're breaking China regulations. They are being non-competitive with China buyers, right? And so they're going to face steep penalties, fines, restrictions. And, of course, this would go across the broader tech sector, of course. It wouldn't just be NVIDIA. It could be any company operating in China, which would be a big hit. This kind of showed up as a disclosure in there. This is something that we haven't heard before, that we have these Chinese antitrust regulations that may come into effect and really, harm U.S. companies. I don't know. That's what I saw as I went through and just tried to figure out what's new, what is causing a little bit of extra fear. How do I see this playing out? Well, they're going to have to concede, I think, to some extent. If they really push this issue, we're going to have to kind of open up, do some deals and give them some more chips, probably. It's probably how this will play out. And it'd be great for NVIDIA. It'd be great for AI. And it's just a lot more money flowing around. Now, you could talk about, is this great for national security, all this other stuff? That's a whole different discussion. But we will see. We will see. To me, that was, the big issue today. Now, I put this up. Make sure everyone understands. This is actually me tipping my cap to blockchain backer. Some people thought I was really blaming him for what transpired today. I put, why is crypto selling off? Well, there's only one reason. And I put this picture up here of blockchain backer. I'm just saying, hey, great call there. He called this some time ago, started taking money off the table. And that's just me paying respects to that. Even if people didn't like it at the time, I wasn't really blaming him, of course, for what transpired today. Now we see this. Ripple Senior Director of Engineering publicly explored the idea of native XRP staking on the XRP ledger in a recent blog post, saying certain fees could instead be sent to a reward pool for distribution. And this is really what I would look at it. I see some people flipping out saying, this is not what XRP is supposed to be. This is the wrong way to go. I will look at what ways is XRP ledger being actually used and adopted today that if you make a change, you may harm. And if that's not a concern, if you're not worried about, this is going to hurt the payments business or this is going to hurt these applications, then hey, let's push this thing forward with any advanced feature sets we can. if you're going to harm adoption that is already happening, already transpiring, then yeah, that's a problem. But if it's not going to do that, just saying, well, this is our ethos, we must stay like this, that don't make sense. Are you getting the adoption or not? Are you scaling or not? And if not, let's like kind of throw everything at this that we can to be competitive. That's my idea here. Now, milestone day for the XRP community. This morning, Bitwise XRP ETF began trading on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker XRP. What a great ticker here. Now, this is what I would say. We're getting these ETFs. We've been waiting for them. Man, we just got bad luck, right? Every time one launches, there's turmoil, there's craziness. If we could just get a clean launch, you know what I mean? Hopefully when Franklin Templeton launches, we see things on, that upswing there. That could be a really, really record-setting day here. We see Bitwise saying, with today's launch, investors have a new convenient way to get spot exposure to XRP, the crypto asset looking to disrupt a $250 trillion market for global payments. Why is XRP intriguing? Well, it's one of the oldest crypto networks out there. It's trusted. It's always stayed up and running. No hacks, no problems. XRP Army is a big deal. The fact that people, no matter what, believe in the vision of this blockchain, that matters. That is really probably XRP Ledger's biggest asset beyond anything technical. Going after a huge opportunity. I like this because it's not just cross-border payments, and it's also tokenization. I think RWAs is the spot that a lot of these entities really want to get into. Operating in a crypto-forward regulatory environment, of course, we had the most problems with the SEC and the U.S. government, and now that's went away, we have actually the most upside from that. We're pulling off all that risk, and it should really help XRP more than anything here. Now, this is an interesting article I put up today. I put the highlights. If you want to check out the actual article, I do have it linked on this X post. A link between worlds. This is a grayscale report. Chainlink is a missing bridge between Wall Street and crypto. I know there's been some back and forth between XRP and Chainlink. It's nonsense. They solve different problems. Chainlink isn't just an oracle. It's a connective tissue that makes tokenization, DeFi, and real-world adoption actually work. Chainlink, crypto's core infrastructure. Grayscale goes on to say that crypto cannot go mainstream without Chainlink. Link is the largest non-layer 1 asset, excluding stablecoins. So Link goes across all sorts of chains, right? Ripple's leveraging them. We see them on all, Ethereum. We see them on all sorts of chains out there being this, core infrastructure. And so it gives you kind of exposure to everything that's happening in all these different chains. It's not an asset that I currently hold. I've had it in the past, but was a really powerful report by Grayscale. Again, if you want to read the full report, go over to my X page, and at the bottom there, you can click on it right here. All right. Next thing here, we see JP Morgan is warning that MicroStrategies may be removed from the NASDAQ 100, and that's because of its performance or any issues. There may be a rule change that could disqualify companies where Bitcoin or crypto exceeds 50% of its total assets. A final decision is expected by January 15th, 2026. I hope they don't do this. I don't think there's any reason to do this. If a company belongs in there, who cares? It should stay. So we'll have to see that play out. MicroStrategies or anyone else, in my opinion here. Now, this is funny. I saw this Peter Zion, and this guy, if you heard his stance on crypto and Bitcoin, I mean, you've never had anyone so wrong in their life but think they are so smart. And he had some really interesting takes on artificial intelligence. You could tell he just doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. He said GPT-4 can be loaded on a thumb drive. I assure you, GPT-4, GPT-5, they cannot be loaded on thumb drives. I put here, this is a cartoonish level wrong here. Frontier models require hundreds of gigabytes to multiple terabytes of VRAM across a huge GPU cluster. You are not running GPT-4 or 5 off of a freaking thumb drive. This guy doesn't know anything here. He says, well, if an algorithm leaks, anyone can just run it at home. Like, it don't work like that. If you run any of these models, I run quite a few. I have quite a few quantized models I run here at home. You ain't running a Frontier model just on your home hardware. You best believe that. It takes tons and tons of GPUs. He just doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. AI will collapse because they're not going to make any chips. This is crazy. They are just expanding exponentially chip making here. It's not even close. NVIDIA is tripling output. Fabs are being built everywhere. Japan is rebuilding material supply chains. AI is accelerating and accelerating only. And what may happen? These monster companies, they may get into money trouble, and the government's going to step in here, and they're going to have to fund some of this as well. You best believe China's not, taking their foot off the accelerator. Europe's not. No one is. This is full steam ahead. He's full of it. And he says AI will shrink from everyone to a handful of entities. And the trend is always going to be, you have to run it in like some big data center, and then people with edge computing can do it, and then it'll just run on your device. It'll run on your phone, right? That's the way it will go. Now, the problem is the most capable models, maybe. This is the one where he's kind of right. The most powerful will have, the cutting edge and be leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else. That's a little bit scary. The fact that the government or Google, they have something that's miles ahead of anything we have access to, and that probably is a little bit right. But again, this guy, he thinks he's so smart. In a lot of ways, he is. I mean, he's a lot smarter than I am. But it's funny how he can literally know nothing about what he's talking about, and he can't recognize that and say, I'm just spitballing here and some nonsense. Hugo says, markets are turbulent, but Flare is quietly achieving product market fit. I'll tell you this. We see F assets go live, FXRP, and then it's just mayhem everywhere. It's amazing how well this is held up. And they haven't had, some big disruption, the thing crashing. This is stress testing to the max, especially out the gates. And so far, they're delivering well. That's encouraging and in a big way here. Tom Lee. I really like Tom Lee. Permabull. He hasn't seen a setup that he doesn't think is bullish. Bitmine is sitting on $3.5 billion in unrealized losses on Ethereum. And we're not in a bear, but this ain't a bear market, people. You haven't seen a bear market. If you think this is a bear market, this ain't nothing. You can imagine how, I love this face Tom's making here. You can imagine how bad things can get. Of course, I hope that things turn for the better. And lastly, Rand, he wrote this open letter to YouTube saying, personally, he's constantly anxious. He doesn't sleep at night because he understands the reality. This is a problem. Here on YouTube, people build out businesses. For me, this is a hobby. I like doing this. It's fun. For some people, this is how they make their money. They build empires on YouTube, and they just take the channel away, specifically crypto channels. You didn't break any rule. You didn't do anything wrong, and all of a sudden you're deleted. That's a problem. Big props to Rand for really sticking up for people here, because it could affect him someday. It could affect anyone making videos on here, whether you're a hobbyist like myself or you run a channel the size of Rand's. It's a risk. Every day is a risk for everyone, and YouTube needs to do something here. If you break a rule, tell the creator what they did, and then they could fix the problem. Because sometimes maybe there is something legitimate. We just don't know what we're doing. Put it cleanly, and then we can clean up YouTube. Because guess what? Every creator is going to go, hey, I got popped for this, and we all talk, right? And we're going to stop doing that. This is ridiculous where you just get deleted, no warnings, no explanations. Of course, if someone's doing something illegal, something wrong, that's different. Knock that thing off right away. But outside of that, help people out here a little bit. Let's make YouTube a better place. Let's not just, permaban good people because some algorithm went off the rails. It's nuts. Let me know what you think down below. As always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.